Greetings and hello, gamers. It is time for the Halfling, or the Hobbit, or the Hin, depending on what you like to call them. I think most people call them Halflings. Of course, Hobbit is a Tolkien reference, and Hin, well, in certain D&D type worlds, such as Mystara and the Forgotten Realms, there are Halfling countries that were developed by the writers at the time that those expansions for those worlds came out, where they wanted to try to give the Halflings like a culture of their own that wasn't just a Tolkien ripoff culture. And so those Halflings are called the Hin, or refer to themselves as Hin, H-I-N. Of course, the really wild Halfling culture would be Dark Sun, but the main world for the LOFT project is Mystara. So, not that you couldn't spell jam or to Dark Sun or something, but that's probably not something that's going to happen, like, at least not very early on anyway. We do have the entire multiverse of the worlds, of the official D&D brand open to you in the LOFT project, as well as several other third-party worlds. And yeah, the main world is Mystara, though. In Mystara, the Halflings actually have a special character class called the Halfling Master, which is going to get its own video because, well, it's a character class. It gets its own video around here. But we're going to talk about Halflings in general. This is going to be very similar to the Gnome video, where we were kind of talking about gnomes have them your way, and we talked about the forest gnomes and the tinker gnomes and the rock gnomes and the deep gnomes for Neblin and the sky gnomes. Well, Halflings have been basically incorporated into our favorite game, because Tolkien for 50 years next year, and they've changed a lot. In the world of Dragonlance, they didn't even want to have Halfling because they wanted to make Dragonlance as non-Tolkien-like as possible, but they still thought that fantasy niche had to be filled, so they made Kender. Kender are not Halflings. Later on in this series, Kender will get their own video. But, so Kender kind of fill the Halfling niche from the Dragonlance world. But, so what is the Halfling niche here? Well, the idea of Halflings kind of starts off with the Tolkienish idea, those Halflings of the Shire, the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. But then because Halflings made really good thieves in the first couple editions of our game, Halflings kind of got a reputation as rascals or scoundrels. So thieving Halfling was kind of an expression in the first couple of editions of our game. And then there's been a lot of change in terms of, if you look at the Halfling art in the first few editions of our game was always the big-footed, furry-foot covered Halfling. And if you look at the Halflings in the art of recent years, they've gotten away from that because they wanted to say, well, these are not Tolkien Halflings, so see, they wear regular size boots and stuff. As far as what you do with your Halfling when you play in the LOFT project, either way, I think I talk about this a lot, very often, maybe not on every issue, but very often, there is room in our favorite game to have your cake and eat it too. There is room that different concepts can coexist in the same world without breaking it. So I think there could be Halflings that have big furry feet, and maybe there's Halflings that don't, and they could even, genetically coexist in the same world. Maybe, hey, your uncle so-and-so, he had some really big feet, he couldn't even wear shoes if he wanted to, but, here's some nice shoes for you, Junior. Whatever you want to do with your Halfling. In Mystara, not only do they have a special Halfling character class called the Master, but there is a seagoing nation of Halfling pirates. Yar, matey, so that's something in Mystara. So you've got everything from your rustic Halfling to your, Halfling with a scoundrelly character class like Thief or Assassin to, even have Halfling warriors. Traditionally, in the first couple editions of our game, there weren't Halfling wizards or anything like that. But, starting in the third edition of our favorite game, when they decided anybody could be anything, it wouldn't hurt to have a Halfling wizard. Now, they'd be rare. I really think to preserve the flavor, they need to be rare. So, but I mean, you're the player character. So, I mean, if you If you're something rare or unusual, well, player character is very often something rare or unusual. So halflings were, pretty much be almost any character class, plus they've got their own special class. If you're watching this video interested in halflings and want to know what that master class, and it's just not up yet in the series, just ask in the Discord, the doodly-doo down below. So yeah, halflings are a thing. They're fun. Some of the most epic characters, at our tables over the years have been halflings. And tomorrow we will get into the half-orc. So there are tables to join. Just hit us up on Discord on the doodly-doo down below. We got social media, website, stuff like that. There's a one-day convention in St. Clair, Missouri on June 24th that we're going to next month. So all sorts of happenings. GM Academy, links to that's down below too, where you will get a live call from me or another grumpy old GM, either once a week or once a month, and there's free 7-day trial on that, where you get at least 2 calls during that free 7 days. So check that out. It is free, no risks. Try before you buy kind of thing. The links in the doodly-doo below to our GM Academy on Patreon. In the meantime, I will see you around the gaming table, and we'll talk about the half-orc tomorrow.